Hey gang, Bill Sheridan here, Chief Communications Officer with the Maryland Association of CPAs. Just a quick update on a few things that are happening in the MACPA world this week. Let's see, podcast. First off, the podcast. A new episode of our Future Proof podcast is out this week with my guest, Marcus Buckingham. Marcus is one of the world's leading researchers on strengths and human performance. He began his career at Gallup and is the co-creator actually of StrengthsFinder, which is one of the top strengths assessments out there. He's also the author or co-author of 10, count them, 10 New York Times bestsellers, including his most recent book, this one right here, Love and Work. And we spent some time talking about strengths-based work recently, this idea that we should try to spend as much time as possible working on our strengths, right? The things that we're good at. That's really where engagement on the job lives, and it's where our organizations need us to be most of the time. And yet, it's not enough just to be good at something. The secret sauce really for employee engagement is, it's parts strengths, but it's equal parts love, for lack of a better word, passion, stuff that we really enjoy doing. That's just as important, if not more so, than being good at something. And Marcus Buckingham and I spent some time recently exploring all of that. Here's a preview. Take a listen. So Marcus, like I said, thanks so much for joining me. I heard you speak at Digital CPA in Austin, and I immediately went out and bought a copy of your latest book, Love and Work. Really inspiring stuff, by the way. And I wanted to start by talking about it's a concept that you brought up early on in the book, and I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Weird, is that right? WYRD.
Yeah.
And this ties into a few things that we've been kind of focusing on when it comes to the future of our profession. So I guess first off, define that term for me. Weird. What does that mean?
Well, it's actually an ancient Norse term, and it's spelled W-I-R-D. It's not an adjective. It's not like you're weird. It's you have a weird. And it's the concept that every human, from the moment they're born, has a distinct spirit, or daimon, the Greeks used to call it, D-A-I-M-O-N, an essence that is within you from the moment you're born. And you can grow and develop, of course you can, but there's something unique in you that is quintessentially you. Today, of course, we know that it's a function of the clash of the chromosomes and that everybody's got a unique synaptic network in their brains that causes patterns of thought and feeling and behavior that makes people unique. We know there's a biological underpinning to human uniqueness, but back 1,000 years ago, the Norse bumped into what every parent bumps into, that when their first kid is born, it seems as though there was a personality already in there. And then when the second kid is born to the same parents, it's a different set of personality traits. And it was their attempt to kind of go, what is it about that particular human that makes them that human? And so they landed on this idea that every human has a weird, and that you better come to know yours, because if you don't know yours, if you don't have a relationship to yours, then the world will try to dictate who yours is. And so it was a way kind of owning the uniqueness of you.
That's really interesting. And so talk a little bit about how that ties into this concept of work, right? I mean, what is it about our relationship with our jobs that makes this a conversation worth having?
Well, every single industry like yours wants to attract the best people. You want to deserve the best people, which means you've got to try to design work that is interesting and compelling to people so that it can be a place in which they encounter their best selves and express their best selves, as opposed to something they just put up with and then they get quote unquote compensation for putting up with a really rotten way to spend 40 hours a week or more. So the way that weird fits into this is, and no one ever really tells us this, but the truth of the matter is that every single activity in life that we bump into during the course of a day has energy in it. Every single activity is energetic. Some people get a kick out of balancing the book. Some people get a kick out of challenging a client to a new way of thinking. Some people get a kick out of moving people to a course of action they didn't intend to do. There's all sorts of thousands of activities that happen during the course of a day. And every one of those activities has some sort of positive or negative energy within it. I liken them to threads, that every day is like a fabric and you got thousands of threads, and some of them are emotionally sort of neutral. You just have to get through it. They're black, they're white, they're gray, they're green. But some of the threads in a day are red. These are activities that when you're doing them, time flies by. When you're done with them, you kind of want to do them again. Before you do them, you sort of look forward to them. These are red threads. And what we find is that the most effective, successful people in any job figure out what those particular red threads are. You don't need 100% of them. You need about 20% red threads, but every day. And your weird is that uniqueness, which causes you to find some things like, or see some things as red threads as compared to other people who seem to not find love in those activities. So weird is a way to go, gosh, what are the particular activities in the job that you're doing that you love? We know the most effective people take those loves really seriously. They try to figure out what those red threads are and figure out how to make sure every day has some of them. When you do that, you seem to perform better, you're more creative, more innovative, more resilient. And so as you think about the profession, the accounting profession, let's say, the real challenge for every accountant would be, how can you know yourself well enough to know which bits of accounting, which activities in a day are the things that you love? And so all of the stuff that I've written about in Love and Work is about that. How do we do that? Because clearly it's doable. It's just that we don't very often do it intentionally.
So good stuff there from Marcus Buckingham. Interesting conversation. And that's this week on our Future Proof podcast. Don't miss it. It's at macpa.org/podcast. Let's see what else is coming up this week real quick. On Wednesday, actually, this May 10th, we've got the latest in the tax controversy webcast series that's sponsored by our friends at Frost Law. This one is called The Tipping Point When an ERC Claim Goes Too Far. That's going to be from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. We've also got our 2023 Forensic Valuation Conference. You're not going to want to miss that one. It's slated for 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Friday, May 12th. And it's in person, folks. If you're dying to get back into the same room with your fellow CPAs, here is your chance. It's at the Meriwether Lake House in Columbia. So be sure to join us for that. And you can get details on these and all of our upcoming events on our website. That's macpa.org. And stay tuned for more. We're going to be using these channels a little bit more frequently, just to let you all know what's going on. And so you'll be hearing much more from us very soon. With that, just have a great week. Looking forward